Most people walk into a grocery store expecting fluorescent lights, long lines, and maybe a half-hearted smile at checkout. But when the man in the faded jacket stepped through the automatic doors of Grayson's market, he wasn't here for groceries. He was here for answers. Nobody noticed him. Not the cashier tiredly scanning items, not the teenager shelving dented soup cans, and certainly not the manager pacing like a general in a war zone. To them, he was just another customer. But behind the cap and the worn coat stood Daniel Grayson, the very man whose name hung in red and white above the sliding doors. Founder, CEO, visionary of a once thriving company now cracking from within. He moved quietly between aisles like a shadow, eyes catching every crooked display, every silence that used to be filled with laughter. He remembered how these stores used to feel. Bright, alive, proud. But now, they felt like waiting rooms for something nobody wanted to face. His attention froze on checkout lane 4. A woman in her 30s stood there trying to smile. Her name tag read Kendra, barely visible through a smudge of dust. Her eyes, red, swollen, told the story her lips refused to. Her hands trembled with each scanned barcode, as if holding herself together took more strength than anyone had left to lend her. And then it happened. A voice, harsh, loud. Kendra. Daniel turned in time to see a man burst out of the stockroom, clipboard in one hand, fury in the other. His vest screamed authority. His words didn't. Crying again? During your shift? This is a workplace, not a therapy session. If you can't handle it, there's the door. The entire store stopped. Or rather, it pretended not to hear. Kendra wiped her face, lowered her head, and whispered, "I'm sorry. I'll keep going." The man leaned in closer, his voice colder. 2 days off this month already. Don't be surprised if you disappear from next week's schedule. And then he was gone. Daniel didn't move, didn't breathe. Something ancient stirred inside him. Not just anger, something heavier. Grief. He hadn't built this company for cruelty to hide behind clipboards. He moved through the aisles, invisible but watchful. The signs were everywhere. A promotional board lay on the floor, stepped over 10 times and still ignored. A customer waited at the service counter for minutes. Forgotten. An employee stubbed his toe, winced, and limped away alone. No joy, no pride, no dignity. Daniel knew exactly what this was. This wasn't neglect. This was surrender. Later that day, Daniel found himself in the parking lot. Kendra stood beside a rusted sedan, counting change in her hand like it was the last she had. Her shoulders trembled before she finally broke. Silent sobs hidden behind her hands. And Daniel just watched. Not because he didn't care, but because now he understood everything. This wasn't about poor management. This was about people breaking quietly inside a system that no longer saw them. He made a decision. Tomorrow, he would return. Not as the CEO, but as the newest hire. The morning after, no one looked twice at the man wearing the probationary staff badge. He shelved pasta beside a lanky kid with glasses who barely looked up. "I'm Marcus," the kid said. "Don't ask too many questions. It's safer that way." Daniel gave a small nod. "How long you been here?" he asked. Marcus shrugged. 2 years. Feels like 20, but it's gotten worse lately. The air, it's like walking through fog. The words struck deep. Not because of what Marcus said, but because of what he didn't need to. Daniel asked about Kendra. Marcus hesitated, then lowered his voice. "She's the strongest person here, but she's been punished. Her kid was hospitalized last month. She missed a shift, just one. Since then, Troy's been cutting her hours week by week. She's barely hanging on." Daniel's hands tightened around the cart handle. Later that night, Daniel did what few CEOs ever would. He accessed the internal scheduling system using an emergency override, something he'd kept quiet for years. What he saw left no room for denial. Kendra, 32 hours, then 24, then 15, now 9. Others too. Marcus, Linda, Jorge, all of them flagged as non-priority. But Troy's favorites, bonus hours, holiday shifts, consistent pay. Daniel stared at the screen, jaw clenched. This wasn't bad leadership. This was a weaponized schedule, designed to punish, to push, to break. He went to Troy's office the next day. "What's the issue?" Troy said, not even looking up. "Kendra," Daniel said flatly. "Why are her hours dropping?" Troy scoffed. "Because she's unreliable. Cries at the register, always an excuse. Sick kid, late rent. I don't run a charity." Daniel's voice stayed level. "She gave notice about her son's asthma attack, asked to switch shifts." Troy leaned back, smug. "I don't reward drama. This system, it's efficient, and corporate loves efficiency." Daniel nodded once, then left. Outside, he didn't scream, didn't curse. He just pulled out his phone and made a single call. "Cancel my meetings," he said. "But the board review," his assistant began. "I'm needed elsewhere," he interrupted. "I won't stay silent while good people are being crushed." That night, he didn't sleep. He wrote names, hours, notes, and one circled in red: Kendra Owens. The next morning, Daniel walked through those sliding doors again. No disguise, no badge, just a sharp suit and a CEO tag pinned to his chest. The moment he stepped in, everything changed. Whispers filled the air. Eyes widened. The man from the pasta aisle was the man behind the name. Troy stood at the counter, coffee in hand, muttering over a clipboard. He looked up and froze. Daniel stopped inches away. "I'm the one who heard everything," he said calmly. "Saw everything. And now I want to talk to the manager." Troy stuttered, fumbled, tried to explain. But Daniel raised a hand. "Cutting the hours of a single mother with a sick child, is that your version of management?" Troy stammered. "I was just optimizing." "You were exploiting." The store was silent. Employees looked on, not with fear, but with the hope that maybe, finally, someone had heard them. Daniel didn't wait. "I'm taking back the keys." Troy handed them over, pale, shaking. Daniel turned to the room. Break room. 10 minutes. All staff. Inside the break room, no one spoke. The air was thick, not with fear anymore, but something else. Daniel stood in front of them. "I'm the founder of this company," he said, "and I failed you." Kendra stood in the back, eyes wide. He turned to her. "I'd like you to become assistant manager of this store, officially, with full authority and full trust." She stared at him. "Me?" she whispered. "You've already done the work. You kept going when most would have collapsed. You showed more leadership from Lane 4 than some have from this office." Tears filled her eyes. "But I broke down in front of customers," and still stood back up. The room exhaled together. That night, Kendra sat in the manager's office. Her office now. She opened the schedule. Line by line, she rewrote what Troy had twisted. Single moms, morning shifts, students, balanced hours, anyone with kids or sick days. Support first, questions later. She tossed Troy's red ink notebook into the drawer. Then she opened a blank document and wrote the first rule. Schedules exist to support, not punish. The culture didn't change overnight, but it changed. Marcus greeted an elderly customer with a smile. Linda hummed while stacking apples. A nervous new hire found a mentor instead of a bully. And in the corner of the store, Daniel watched. Quiet, unseen. Smiling, not because he had fixed everything, but because he'd found the people who could. 1 week later, Daniel returned alone. No headlines, no entourage, just a man walking into a store that felt lighter. He found Kendra at lane 4, handing a sticker to a little girl. The mother smiled. Kendra smiled back. She turned and spotted him. "I didn't think you'd come today," she said. "I had to see it for myself." "I'm still learning," she whispered. "Some days I panic. Some days I still feel like I'll mess up." Daniel stepped closer. "You didn't get this role from me. You claimed it every day you didn't give up." She nodded, eyes glistening. Behind her, the team worked, not just harder, but freer. Because sometimes saving a company doesn't start with a board meeting. It starts when someone listens to the quietest cry in the room. At the end of her shift, Kendra turned off the register light, stepped outside, and got into her old sedan. This time, her wallet wasn't empty, and her hands didn't shake. Her son slept peacefully in the back seat, and she smiled. Not because she had a title, but because she had changed something real, and the ripple had only just begun. If you saw yourself in this story, if you've ever been Kendra or Marcus or Daniel, leave just one dot in the comments. We're listening.